Good morning, everybody. This is the second edition of the at-home workout. Now, you might look at this, yes, I'm at the gym, I'm cheating a little bit, but I'm gonna be utilizing tools that you have available or may have available at your house. Before I go into that though, I wanna go over what we're gonna do today for the workout. First and foremost, we're gonna do a warm-up. I'm gonna go through about a 10-minute warm-up to protect ourselves and get us warmed up for the strength day at hand. And that's gonna be the workout for today. We're gonna do a dumbbell strength day and a kettlebell strength day. So what we have here, if you can see the workout, is we're gonna primarily do a dumbbell kettlebell strength workout for mainly supersets. We're gonna have first superset, I'm actually turning it into a tricep, kettlebell swings, kettlebell suitcase hold, and a hip mobility drill. That's just to help our body recover, and then back to it. We're gonna go 4 rounds of 8 on the swings, and then 3 rounds of 30 seconds on the suitcase hold. And then we're gonna do dumbbell, kettlebell front squat, dumbbell or kettlebell front squat, 4 rounds of 6 to 8, pull-ups, or pull-up variation depending on what you have available to you, 4 rounds, 6 to 8, kettlebell deadlift or dumbbell deadlifts, 4 rounds of 6 to 8, 4 chest press. We can do that one. I'm actually personally going to switch this out for an overhead press. So I'll show both when we get to it. And then inverted row or monster walks or lateral lunges. And those are gonna be 3 rounds of the varying rep ranges. That's going to be the strength workout for today. And this is going to be for your at-home workout. That way you don't have to be left in the dust or waiting around for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, however long this coronavirus thing ends up holding up for. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get moving with the warm-up. I'm going to put this back here. First thing we're going to do, if you have a foam roller, I highly suggest we start with that. If you don't, you can find something like a golf ball or a tennis ball or something like that to roll around on. Basically what we're going to do here is find any trigger points that you kind of know you have and hit those trigger points. For me, I like to roll out my glutes, so I'm going to start there. We're going to spend about 20 to 30 seconds per body part. We're only going to pick like 3 to 4 body parts here. So it's time for me to switch. I'm watching a clock, by the way. There's a clock behind the screen here. Again, once you find a spot that kind of hurts, kind of hang out there. Maybe going back and forth a little bit. Again, 20 to 30 seconds on it, then we're moving on to the next thing. And we're about 25 seconds in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on. I'm gonna do the upper back. I like getting the little muscles that are in between the shoulder blades. It feels kind of good. Kind of hurts a little, but it feels kind of good. Awesome. All right. Now I'm going to do the hamstrings. That's just going to be like this. You can also support with the other leg if you need to. Roll from the bottom of the butt to the top of the knee. You're going to go back and forth. I like to put a little bit more pressure on it. So with this one, if you don't have a clock, you can also utilize just a count. You can do about 10 up and backs. That's actually what I'm used to doing. If you take your time, it should be about 20 seconds or so. For those of us with tight calves, you can actually put this down and go calves. I'll do this one, then an extra one at the end here, bonus round. So we're just gonna go iron on directly on the calf, put a little pressure, roll back and forth, try to knead out that meat of the muscle there. Of course, I'm gonna switch sides now. Yeah. This definitely kind of hurts kind of good, especially on the lateral part or the side, the outside part of the calf. Oh yeah. All right. Now those of us with tight chest muscles, your next one will be this one, where you get on the chest. I'm actually gonna do my quad. I'm gonna flip over and up and down on my quad. I've had hip surgeries, so I try to make sure I get my upper hip and my quad all together here. Hit the couple spots that kind of hurt. Good. Again, we're gonna go here, this side now. Yeah, get right into that top of the hip, right in that iliopsoas kind of area, the hip flexor area. And then of course come back down into the quad. This is pretty good stuff here. You might see me pumping my foot a little bit. It's actually a little bit of an advanced technique to help stretch out the muscle while we're putting pressure on it. It seems to work pretty good with releasing that tension of the muscle if it has a trigger point. The best way to do that is to do about 4 or 5 swipes, pump the knee a couple of times, and then do 4 or 5 more swipes and just repeat the process. So if you have any dire issues, like it hurts really bad, that might be a good thing to do and focus a little bit more on that during the warm-up. So feel free to shorten how many total exercises that you're doing here and get right into just doing those 1 or 2. Like if it's the quad or the hamstrings that hurts kind of bad, focus on those and get those going. Focus a little more time, do like a minute or so on them instead of about 30 seconds for a bunch of different body parts. Okay, for the next thing we're gonna do, breathing, crocodile breathing. We're gonna breathe in through your nose. 4 seconds in, breathe out. 4 seconds. Should be completely relaxed. We got 1 more. All right, good. That was about 5 breaths there. Next thing we are going to do is laying on our side. You can take the foam roller that you have, put your knee on top. We're going to do a little bit of upper twisting here. Breathe in. So with this upper twisting, let me backtrack just a second. You're going to have your knee directly out in front of you. This is just to hold your hip in place. And from here, just gonna breathe and rotate the shoulders. All right, flipping sides. That's our other trainer, John. He's a good dude. Just had to obviously grab something out of the employee's room. Next thing we're gonna do, hip flexor stretch. We're gonna go one knee up. We're just gonna go here and just hold for about 30 seconds. You're gonna stretch out the front of the hip. I have the eye on the clock here. You're gonna hold 20 to 30 seconds. We're gonna go to 30. We have about 10 more seconds right now. You're gonna dig the toes into the ground, stay tall. You don't have to turn the shoulders. You can go completely straight. I'm turning the shoulders to get a little bit more stretch. Go ahead and switch sides. One big cue I can make too is you want to dig the toes in, stay as tall as you can, and turn. You should feel your glutes firing, this glute firing, this glute firing. All right. All right, now we have, glute bridge. We're gonna be, knees are not bent to 90 degrees. You're gonna drop the hips up in the air. We're just gonna constantly come back down, come back up. We're gonna do 8 of these. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good work. That's just to wake up the glutes. A lot of times a lot of people's glutes aren't firing in correct sequence or correctly or whatever it may be. A lot of times the glutes not activating properly is why people get injured, which is why we're doing this. All right, next is going to be downward dog. Stretch out the calves here. So we're gonna go stretch, stretch. You can hold the stretch. I'm gonna alternate. 2 seconds each, 2 seconds each, 2 seconds each. We're gonna do 8 on each. So now we're at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. Perfect. Now I'm going to stand actually. I'm actually going to grab a band here that I have set up for later. I'm going to get into a little bit of a shoulder stretch now. So up and back. You can take this band up and back. If you don't have something like this at home, you can go ahead and do arm circles. Arm circles. That's completely fine as well. I have this tool available to me right now, so I'm going to use it. Just going to up and back. And keep your arms straight. Just go to the point where you feel a pretty good stretch. This is a good shoulder warm up. Try to keep the head up, trying to look down like I just did a little bit ago. 10. All right, good. Put this back. All right. Now, I'm going to do reverse lunge, tap the knee down, reverse lunge, tap the knee down. If you want to make it fancy and turn at the bottom, you can. We're going to do 5 on each side, so I'm at 3 right now. 3 right now. 4. 4. 5. Good stuff. Now, what I'd like to do is bootstrapper. So we're going to bend over, grab the toes, drop the hips, hips up, drop the hips, hips up, drop the hips, hips up, drop the hips, hips up. You notice my elbows are inside my knees here. I don't have very good hip mobility. I have arthritis in both of my hips, so you're probably noticing I'm not getting down very far. Get us down as far as your heels will stay on the ground and you'll be okay. Just work with what you have. And that means, I mentioned that I have hip arthritis. Don't let anything like that stop you. I mean, obviously if it hurts, don't do it. If you have a doctor tell you you shouldn't do something, don't do it. But within whatever your range of limitations are, go ahead and go for it. Choose your brain, or use your intuition really, to make a judgment call. All right, now we're gonna go into lateral lunges or lateral squats. Feet are gonna be wide. Just gonna go drop to the one side, drop to the other side. You are gonna dump forward a little bit, but your posture should still be good. So we're gonna go lateral, lateral. I got 2 more on each side. 1, 2, 2. And when you're doing that, your knee and your foot should be in alignment. You shouldn't be too far in, shouldn't be too far out. Should be nice and aligned, and then drop down. And then drop down. Good stuff there. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna grab this band again. Actually, I'm gonna grab the kettlebell. I'm gonna wake up the deadlift motion with the kettlebell. You can utilize whatever kettlebell that you have. We're gonna pick this up. Then we're gonna go hips back, stand up, hips back, stand up, hips back, stand up. We're gonna keep good posture. So with the hip hinge, with the deadlift hip hinge, want to make sure that the shoulders are back, and when you go to do this movement, your hips are poking backwards, and you're bowing down like you're doing and that was about 5, like you're doing like a hockey check, where you're bowing in front of an audience. That's going to be the motion. You should feel it in your glutes and your hamstrings, not your low back. All right, next thing we're gonna do here, a little bit of plyo, faster movement. We're gonna get into a drop jump here. Just feet wide and drop down. Get as low as you can, as low as whatever you have will allow you to. Good stuff. All right, next thing we're gonna do here is a little bit of foot fire for about 5 seconds at a time, just a couple. All right, stop. We're gonna do 1 more of those. This is just gonna be to get the heart rate revved up, the central nervous system revved up. All right, good. Good stuff. You should be feeling nice and warm. We're gonna give you just a couple seconds to get some water before we start. And our first exercise, we're gonna do kettlebell swings, 4 rounds of 8. Kettlebell suitcase holds, 3 rounds of 30 seconds. Then we're gonna give ourselves a break in between by doing a hip mobility drill. And you can use the same one that we did in the warm-up. You can choose one that you know that you wanna do. If you have a shoulder mobility issue and you wanna do that instead, go for it. Just something that's gonna allow you to take a break and get your heart rate back down. All right, so I'm gonna get some water real quick. All right, kettlebell swings and and suitcase holds. So kettlebell swing is going to be that same deadlift motion that we just did, only now we're going to push our hips back and forth. We're going to go back and pop through, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Perfect. Now, what we're going to do is suitcase hold, right into it. So we're about 30 seconds. I'm watching the clock here. Keep breathing, stay tall. Breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. About 5 more seconds. And switch it. Other side. This should be feeling it right here in the side. This is like a standing plank, if you will, or standing side plank, if you will. About halfway through. All right. Now we're going to do that hip mobility drill. So what I'm going to do is a Spider-Man lunge. So I'm going to put both my hands down, and I'm going to look. I'll put my hands up, put my one foot next to my hand. You should feel a pretty good stretch right here. You can have your knee on the ground or in the air, either way. We're going to go for about 30 seconds here. We got about 5 seconds, or excuse me, about 10 seconds left. All right, switching sides. So, one foot up. Again, my hip isn't allowing my other hand to get back down. Move over just a little bit. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, back to that kettlebell swing. So with this, again, hip hinge back, grab the weight, pop through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. All right, suitcase hold. Make sure you have good posture when you pick it up off the ground. Deep breaths. Breathe into the stomach, out through the mouth. All right, other side. Stay tall throughout the top of the head. Guys kind of lean forward there in the last round. Try not to do that. All right. Back to the stretch. This time I'm going to do just the regular basic stretch that we did at the beginning, or during the warm-ups rather. I'm just going to lean forward in this position. Feel a big stretch right here. This is going to be for about a minute, 30 seconds a piece, about a minute. It gives you about a minute break in between. And then of course, whatever setup time you need. So it takes about a minute and 30 seconds, which is about what we need in between rounds here to give us enough energy to be able to do both exercises. All right, good stuff. Switching sides here. Staying tall, dig the toes in, breathe. Own the position is what we like to call it. If you can breathe in the position, you're not having any trouble with taking a nice deep breath, that's a good sign. If you're having shallow breaths, you might want to back off a little bit. All right. We got 2 more rounds of the kettlebell swing, 1 more round of the suitcase hold. So here we go with this kettlebell swing. Pop through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good stuff. Good stuff there. All right. Pick this up. 30 seconds here. Staying tall, watch the clock, and switching sides. Breathe into the stomach, out the mouth, into the stomach, out to the mouth. This should be a challenge by round 3. If you need to hold a little longer, you can. You can always pause the video here. You can always pause the video and go a little longer if that's not quite enough. Or if you have a bigger weight, you can use a bigger weight. Again, doing 1 more round of this. Stretch out. Now, you might be wondering, what's the benefit of stretching in between sets like this? Like I mentioned earlier, number 1, it gives us time for our heart rate to come down. And number 2, if it's a problem area for you, so if it's an area where you lack mobility, it's going to help improve your movement pattern while we're working out, allowing you to move better during those sessions, or during those exercises rather. We're going to switch sides now. But yeah, it'll allow you to improve your quality of your movement while you're doing the next couple exercises. So like our next ones are going to be front squats with kettlebells or dumbbell. And you should have the ability to move better so long as your mobility issue is not a bony abnormality like mine is. So for me, my issues, I have hip arthritis, and no matter what I do, I'm not going to be able to improve the mobility, but I can still do the stretches, and it feels pretty good for me, so I'm going to continue to do it. All right, next on the list here, we're going down to the next superset. This time, I'm not going to do an in-between stretch. We're just going to get right to it. We have 4 rounds of 6 to 8 reps for both the dumbbell or kettlebell front squat. So just to show how we're going to do that. So kettlebell front squat, we're going to hold just like this, or this is goblet squat. You can go goblet squat. We can hold 2 on each arm and squat like that as well. Or if all you have is dumbbells, we're going to come over here and grab a couple of pairs of dumbbells here so I can demo. You're going to hold up here like this and squat. Or other option here is the goblet, hold it, and of course squat as low as you can, stand up. So you have those options for you. The second exercise is going to be a pull-up. If you have the opportunity to do a pull-up, go for it. In this area, I don't have a suspension trainer, or I do have a bar. I could move the bar up and do some optional ones, but instead I decided we're gonna do, actually I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna move that up. I'm gonna move this barbell up here real quick. So this is going to be a bit like cheating, because this will only apply it only if you have an at-home half rack. But this is why I also have the band here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera here a little bit so you guys can see what's going on. We're going to come here. I'm going to do an underhand grip. Make sure this is nice and secure. You know, drop down and then pull myself up. Drop down and then pull myself up. You can do this if you have something like this at home. If you don't worry about it. You can always take a band, tie it to something high, and we'll be here, half kneeling stance, and pull a band to you. And then of course we'll go both sides. So either way for that one's gonna be okay. Don't worry about the equipment that you have or the equipment that you don't have. We'll focus on what you do have so we can get in a decent workout. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get this front squat in. I'm gonna do a goblet squat with a heavier dumbbell, 4 rounds. I'm gonna start with 6 reps here. So when I challenge yourself for 6 to 8 reps. Drop down low, stand up 1, 2, 3, take a breath, in, hold it, breathe out on the way up. 5, 6. So that was 6. You can probably tell that I kind of move a little bit while I'm doing those. My hip doesn't feel the greatest on those. I'm doing it for the video purposes. Now we're going to do the pull-up or the chin-up. We're going to do 8 reps of this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, I was kind of lifting myself off the ground. If you don't feel like you have enough oomph behind your pull to do that, you can keep your leg on the ground. Or again, you can do the banded version here and follow along. Either way, just make sure you're picking one that's appropriate for you. All right, in between those two, if you need to get a drink of water, go ahead and do so. Now is a good time. Give yourself at least about 30 seconds in between, and we'll get into the next round here. We want to make sure we have enough energy to lift a heavier weight. So we're going to let ourselves calm back down here. Okay. Weight up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, back to the pull-up. Actually, I'm gonna do this one just to show for the next round here what you can do. You can hold it in the strap, or if you wanna make it tougher, you can hold it around. Makes it tougher on the grip. I need it back up. 6, 7, 8. Good stuff. Switch sides. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, you can, if you have something like that, if you're not sure where to tie it, you can even go into doing like a split row where you have a dumbbell or a kettlebell and you're here and you row to the bottom of the chest, almost like I did in yesterday's video. Row, row. So that's another idea. If you don't have any of this, just drop down to a regular row. That's completely fine. Again, taking a few seconds break here. About 30 seconds or so. 30 seconds to a minute actually in between rounds. So if you actually want to do, if you have a mobility issue that you want to work on during the in-between rounds, go ahead and go for it. This is a type of supersets are a type of circuit that will get your heart rate going pretty well. So if you need to control a little bit, go ahead and do so. That was 6. All right, pull up again.